Welcome to The Explainer, everyone. If you're a middle school student watching this right now, you better get ready, because today we are exploring literally the ultimate quest. We're traveling way back to the year 1969. It's a year that pretty much kicked off an entirely new chapter in human history. We're going to look at exactly how humanity achieved the absolute unthinkable with the Apollo 11 moon landing.
Seriously, I want you to take just a second and imagine something with me. Imagine stepping outside on a super clear night, looking way up at that glowing moon in the night sky, and wondering, how could humans ever travel that incredibly far? I mean, what kind of courage, what kind of unbelievable science does it actually take to leave our home planet and physically touch another world? Well, that is exactly the story we're decoding today.
Section 1. Start of a great journey. Okay, let's dive into this.
You know, every great hero's journey begins with a massive push. And to actually leave Earth, NASA used the Saturn V. Now, this rocket was an absolute beast. It was taller than a 36-story building. Can you imagine that? It was the absolutely essential, towering feat of engineering they needed to kick off this historic mission and finally break free from Earth's gravity.
And here's the lightning-fast roadmap for such a monumental achievement. On July 16, 1969, that massive Saturn V rocket blasted off from Earth. Then, just 4 days later, on July 20th, the historic moon landing actually took place. And by July 24th, they made a safe return to Earth. So in just over a single week, human history was changed forever. Kind of mind-blowing, right?
Section 2. 3 heroes of space.
Of course, a mission like this isn't just about the giant rockets and timelines, It's really about the people. This ultimate quest required absolute perfect teamwork from 3 incredibly brave astronauts. We're talking about Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. Each one of them had a totally vital role to play. And honestly, without all 3 of them working flawlessly together, this mission just could not have succeeded.
Section 3. First step on the moon. Now imagine traveling for several days through the quiet, freezing darkness of space, building all that suspense, until finally they reach the moon's orbit.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the team actually had to split up at this point. A special spacecraft called the Lunar Module, they named it the Eagle, separated to carry just 2 of the astronauts down to the surface. Meanwhile, Michael Collins bravely waited behind in orbit, basically to make sure they had a ride home. Oh, and get this. Amazingly, the computer guiding this incredibly complex mission had less processing power than the smartphone sitting in your pocket right now. Crazy, right?
So put yourself right inside the Eagle. It's July 20th, 1969. The lunar module slowly begins its descent, going down towards this completely alien surface. Suddenly, alarms are blaring in the tiny cabin. They were running dangerously low on fuel, literally with only seconds left to touch down safely. The tension inside that spacecraft and all the way back on Earth was just unbelievable. They were approaching a place no human being had ever touched before.
And then history was made. Neil Armstrong stepped out of the Eagle and became the very first person to ever set foot on the moon. As his boot touched that lunar surface, he spoke these legendary words: "That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind."
Pretty quickly after that, Buzz Aldrin joined Armstrong out on the surface. But hey, they weren't just up there to take in the view. They immediately got right to work, conducting crucial scientific experiments and collecting lunar rocks and soil. And here's a fun fact for you. The astronauts later reported that the moon dust they tracked back into the ship smelled exactly like spent gunpowder. But maybe the most amazing part of this whole thing? The entire world was watching this triumph live on their bulky black and white TVs. It was just a massive victory for science, technology, and human courage.
Section 4. Successful return to Earth. Now, getting back safely is an absolutely crucial part of any hero's journey.
You can't just land on the moon and stay there, right? You got to come home to share what you've learned. So let's walk through the steps of this incredibly perilous return trip. Step 1, Armstrong and Aldrin had to blast off from the moon's surface in the top half of the Eagle. Step 2, they had to perfectly reunite with Michael Collins, who was still up there orbiting the moon, waiting for them. And finally, Step 3, once all 3 heroes were safely back together in the main spacecraft, they had to make that long journey back to Earth. The absolute precision required to get all 3 of them back home safely was just mind-boggling.
But they did it. On July 24, 1969, all 3 astronauts safely splashed down back on planet Earth. And let me tell you, the entire world burst into celebration. People everywhere rejoiced because, well, this wasn't just a win for NASA. It was a massive win for all of humanity. Even today, decades later, the Apollo 11 mission is counted as one of the very greatest achievements in human history.
Section 5. The biggest lesson for us. So, the crucial point is,
What does a mission from all the way back in 1969 actually mean for you today, sitting right there in your classroom or at your desk? Well, it means this. Humans can make the impossible entirely possible. I mean, going to the moon seemed like absolute magic, right? A totally impossible dream. But with science, technology, incredible teamwork, and immense human courage, they did it. It proves that every single one of us that absolutely no goal is too big to achieve.
Which brings me to my final question for all of you. You've seen what happens when humans push the very boundaries of science and bravery. So looking forward into your own future, what impossible thing will you make possible? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, guys, and I'll catch you next time.